Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. First order of business, I'd like a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 405, paragraph 6D, to discuss labor contract negotiations.
I'll move to go into
Okay, we have a motion by Lou, a second by Bill. I didn't recognize you with the mask, Bill, but all in favor, going to executive session? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll go into executive session. We'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to come out of executive
I'll
session?
move to come out of executive session.
Second, so we have a motion by Lou, second by Lorna. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Okay, so we're out of executive session, back in open session. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thanks. So this is a special meeting of the board. Our primary business tonight is to approve the 3 remaining contracts for dealing with our faculty and staff. I just want to make just a couple comments. Graduation, Moore's graduation was on Sunday, and it was a great success. And I want to congratulate all the kids, of course, for graduating, and Eric and the high school staff for conducting a really fine graduation. So thank to all of them. I also want to just extend my thanks to members of the association and others, food service workers and our support staff who were involved in these negotiations. I think we can agree that everyone came to those meetings well prepared. It was conducted in a most professional way and with respect on both sides, and I think we on the board certainly appreciate that. I believe what we've resolved are 4 very good contracts for our staff and faculty going forward. So I want to thank them and also thank members of the board who served on those negotiating teams. Thank you. Okay, new business. Item 6.0. First, we have some personnel items. We have a couple of action items, a couple of new hires. Patrick?
Yeah, I just thought if we could squeak these in tonight, just to get contracts out to people. So I'll go through these, and I did give you a handout with 2 more, just because they came in just, today or at the very end of last week. But the first one is a nomination for music teacher shared between Dyke Newell and Phippsburg, and the recommended candidate is Selena Reed. And you can see, 7 applications, 3 people interviewed, the committee, and Selena is coming from Arkansas. And math teacher at Morse High School, and being nominated is Tara Cloutier. And we had 10 applications, interviewed 3 people, and she is currently teaching in New Hampshire. And then social studies teacher at the high school, we are nominating Bree Canlin. We had 26 applications for that, and we interviewed 3 people, and she's coming from our neighbor at Mount Arrett High School. So we'd like to nominate those 3. And then the 2 new ones is a new band teacher at Phippsburg Elementary School. That's a 40% position. And we're nominating Josh Karen. And again, we had 2 applicants, interviewed 2 people, and he's currently in the Edward Little school system. And then at BMS, for a math teacher, we had 8 applications, and we're pleased to nominate Whitney Hall to fill that position. And she is also coming from New Hampshire. So those are the nominations that we have this evening.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Any questions? Jen?
Can someone remind me the BMS math teacher position? It says reason for opening the transfer.
That's because we had brought Paige to you. She went to the BMS Dean of Students, and she was the math teacher. So she, applied for that job and moved into the Dean of Students.
Jen, don't turn your mic on. Don't forget that.
And about the math teacher at Morse, that's a retirement, it says?
That's a retirement, Shelley Nutter.
Okay, this is an action item. I suggest we take them all together. Any motion
I'll
to,
move to accept.
we have a motion by Lou and a second by Lorna. All in favor? Any opposed? No, thank you. I'm encouraged by this number of applicants for positions. I think it still shows that, at least in our area, the RSU is very competitive and looking for good teachers out there. Okay, item 6.2. We have an item, we approve the 2021-2024 proposed contract between the RSU1 Board and the RSU1 School Administrators Association. Do I have a motion to accept or to approve the contract?
Move to approve the contract.
Okay, we have a motion by Lou, second by Lorna. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item 6.3, approve the 2021-2024 proposed contract between the RSU1 Board and the Sagadahoc Education Association. Again, this is an action item to approve.
To approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Lou and a second by Bill. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. And item 6.4, approve the 2021-2024 proposed contract between the RSU1 Board and Council 93, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME. Again, an action item. Yeah. Motion to approve. Motion by Lou, second by Lorna. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Okay, thanks. All right, item 7.0, fall reopening update. Patrick, you gonna?
Yeah, Katie and I will just give you a brief update tonight because we'll be talking about it more, probably in more depth on the 28th at the next board meeting. But we're just going to give you an update on some of the numbers, and I'm going to let Katie start, and then I'll finish.
Great. Okay. So I think, first of all, we've received a lot of positive feedback from the letter that we sent out to families about wanting everybody back 100% and hoping for, 3 feet of space. But now knowing that, that was our original plan the last time we met as a board, but there was a change that we were able to actually change in the letter moving forward, that distancing wasn't going to be required. So I think that was very well received. The board had also asked us to look into the pooled testing in terms of how much of the community support there was, and that was included in the letter. And as of when I last checked, we had 352 individual responses, and the numbers are still hovering around what we shared with you last. So it's 65% in support of either staff or students opting into the pooled testing, and 35% who would choose to opt out should the board plan to move forward with that. And so we'll make sure that at the June official board meeting that Dr. Hannah will be present, and we'll be able to answer more questions and have a more in-depth discussion about whether you'd like to move forward with that. And again, even though it wouldn't necessarily help us with the distancing because that's no longer a requirement, the possible benefits would still be people not having to quarantine if they're close contacts. So that's why we would still potentially choose to do that, so we can keep students present in school more often, as well as in sports and activities. The distance learning numbers for next year have also now been finalized as of right now. I'm sure things will change a little bit. There are 0 students in pre-K to 2 requesting distance learning, 5 in grades 3 to 5, 10 in grades 6 through 8, and 4 in 9 through 12, for a total of 19 students. And in terms of the most, medical reasons are the most sort of mentioned reason for the desire to continue with this. And these are all students who have already been doing it and want to carry on. And then I think the final piece is, Patrick, do you want to go over staffing now? Okay. Yeah. Or
That's fine.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Lou.
Quick question. Just so when you're, Katie, I know we're not required, and maybe this is what you'll be talking about with staffing. Are we still looking at choosing to distance where possible a little bit, or, to keep classes smaller when it's possible, or I just wasn't sure how that's looking.
sure. So, and
Yeah.
actually I forgot. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go?
That's okay. I'll go real
Okay.
quick and then we can, but just again, to remind people that it was, last Wednesday, I think, that Governor Mills came out and talked about the social distancing. So that, is changing for the fall. So it's not required. And then last Friday, there was also an announcement that came out about the executive order is going to be done on June 30th. And therefore, masks are not required. However, Maine CDC is strongly recommending it, especially for people that are not vaccinated, and also that would be 12 and under because they're not eligible for the vaccine. So those two things happened last week. As far as to get to Lou's question, the last time we met and talked, we were looking at approximately 16 teachers and 13 ed techs, and some of that was for social distancing. We've met again with our administrative team, and we've looked at needs and what we think is best for students using the ESSER 2 money. And we came up with 7.5 teachers and 9.5 ed techs. And really, Lou, it's kind of like what you talked about is we'd like to make some class sizes smaller to provide some more individual attention in the classroom, but also we would like to have academic interventionists at our buildings for, again, the academic support and also for the social, emotional, mental health support as well. So, next year we're going to have students that are coming back, not having a full year under the belt. And again, so that's what we're looking at, 9.5 and 7.5 teachers. And that's for the whole district. And that includes, for example, that it does include some staffing for DLA, the Distance Learning Academy. Even the numbers are small, but we do need some staffing for that. And it also includes the one nurse that we've employed this year, that, so to speak, a roaming nurse that we've used that goes to each school on an as-needed basis.
Right.
So it does include those as well.
So from the last time we shared with you, we were suggesting we'd be hiring 33 people, and now it's actually down to 21. Some of, like Patrick said, some of the reason for wanting to reduce class size in addition would be, while we don't think we'll ever have to distance, hopefully, if we are in outbreak status, they've still mentioned the possibility of possibly having to go back to 3 feet. So we don't want to, especially at the high school, overstack classes where it would be hard to find another person with that background should we need to go into, a sort of outbreak space situation. And so we're trying to be smart about that as well.
So are we at this point, since you said the mandates about the masks, are we saying that at the high school level, we would start with you only needed masks if you weren't vaccinated, or have we not made that decision yet?
Yeah, we personally, got this Friday afternoon, and so we're just, so that'll be more of a discussion, on the 28th. We'd like to try to be as clear as we can, as early as we can, for staff and for students and families. So, could it look different at different levels? Possibly. So I think we need some more guidance on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think when we have our full board meeting, the regular board meeting, we have a little bit more exposure to the community is probably a better time to, to get into those, those formative kind of discussions and comments. So, any other comments?
The only other thing I wanted to mention about staffing was originally, for distance learning, we were going to we thought we'd need to hire 4 teachers and 2 ed techs. And now we are just going to do a half a teacher and 2 ed techs. Because there's only 3 to 5 students, and so that person will be teaching all 3 grades and all the subjects. So even though 5 kids doesn't sound like a lot, the content is actually pretty varied, and so that's a half-time position. And then the other, the ed techs will be overseeing the use of Odysseyware. So rather than students zooming into their classes with the Polycom bars, which worked really well in some classes, but the classes where it's more hands-on, possibly not so well. We're going to have them take their full courses, and the families who are doing this have been notified of that change already through phone calls, that's what the structure will look like. And then the ed techs will be there for support to get the work done, content, questions, general social emotional check-ins. And so that will be the plan moving forward with 6 through 12. That's why the change in staffing.
Okay, thanks, Katie.
Mhm.
Questions, Jen?
A couple, 7.5 teachers, 9.5 ed techs, that's 17, but there's 21.
Yeah, so, okay, so 7.5 teachers.
Yep.
Oh, you want to
Alright,
turn your
thank you.
mic on?
7.5 teachers, 9.5 ed techs, 1 nurse. And then it also, that 21 number also included, like we told you about last time, we'd like to keep the same, moving 3 of our half-time staff to full-time. So there's 1 person at Woolwich, 1 person at Fisher Mitchell, and 1 person at Phippsburg that we'd like to keep at full-time for intervention purposes, even though they're usually hired locally at part-time. So that equals 21 total.
And the other question was, I've been hearing a lot about kindergarten's class size coming in for the next year. Kindergartners who didn't go to preschool, kindergartners who may have been, were a little too young to maybe to go into, first grade. Everyone's talking about these really huge expectations for kindergarten classes. When do we get any kind of idea of how big those classes might be and if we would need any staff for those?
Well, I think we know right now that Phippsburg is around 15. And we know that at Dyke Newell, we're planning for 5 kindergarten teachers. So that should keep the size at around, hold on 1 second here, I have it right here, 13 in a class.
Mhm.
And then at Woolwich, Jason, tell us that number. It's in the middle teens at most. So I would say the place where the biggest bubble was is Dyke Newell, and we're already planning for that. And then I think also the extra interventionists will obviously be a great help.
And are all the ed techs ed tech 3s?
No, they're mostly 2s.
Okay, any other questions? Again, we're going to have a more full discussion of this in a week, but go ahead, Lorna.
More of Katie, I think I emailed you about this too, but so for the pool testing, on point of clarification, the benefit of not having to quarantine if you participate, I understand that. But also if you're fully vaccinated and don't participate, you also do not have to quarantine. Is that right?
That's correct. And that's been since people in general could become vaccinated, that's been in the SOP for adults or students. And so that's currently the case. So that's why we've been collecting the vaccine cards from all of our staff and students. So when the nurses do their close contact investigations, they know who to tell. You are a close contact, but you don't have to quarantine. So we've already had students who haven't had to quarantine because of their vaccinations.
That must be the weight room. Okay. Any other, let me just ask a question. How are the hiring, how's the response to our hiring needs, regardless of how many we're looking for? I mean, are you getting a good pool of people?
Yeah, I mean, we filled some of our 1 year, so to speak, temporary positions already. We have we still have a little ways to go. And right now we do have the 3 permanent openings that we have for teaching positions is BMS grade 6 science, grade 5 at Fisher Mitchell, and the health and PE position that's shared between Dyke Newell and Woolwich. Those are the 3 openings right now for permanent. And then we have 4 ed tech positions that are permanent that are open right now. But we're getting applicants for every single position, and sometimes it's just trying to find the right fit. So yeah.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Katie. Any other questions at this point, Lorna?
I probably missed this in the beginning. Do we have no public comment? Because we went over it. We don't have any.
Yeah, there were no requests for comment to address the board. I should have noted that, but please. Jennifer.
And just a point of clarification, these additional teaching positions, the ESSER money covers both their benefits and their salaries. It's complete cost, just to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, so item 8.0, we have our regular board meeting is scheduled for June 28th. It will be here at 6 o'clock. I am going to, we're going to try to make it available to the public. We've got some space issues to deal with, obviously, and it might not be possible in June, but certainly by September we should be in full operation. But we're gonna make an effort, I hope, to open the meeting for get someone else in the room other than the board and key staff. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Lou, second by Lorna. All in favor? Any opposed? No? Okay, thank you very much. See you in a week and a half, I guess.